So in this video, we're going to talk about open versus closed prompts. And the concept here is that an open prompt allows the AI to decide more of what the output is. And a closed prompt makes it so that your prompt is deciding more of what the output is. So an example of an open prompt would be where you would go to ChatGPT and say, create a Python script for me. Now you see it's like an open-ended question basically, which is where that term open comes from. We're opening the door for the AI to basically make decisions on what sort of Python script it will decide to create for you. And then with a closed prompt, we are saying create a Python script for me that includes a function built for the purpose of uploading CSV files to an SQL database, right? So what we're doing is we are closing the gap on the AI's ability to make decisions by providing it with more details, and we're limiting its creativity in a sense, or its ability to decide what the best option of thing to show you. One thing with these that's important to highlight as well is that with an open prompt, you could get variable different responses all the time. You could get any number of different responses with the same prompt. If it was too open, if it was too wide open, every time you use it, you might get a different response. And with a closed prompt, you should be getting more of a very specific output with minimal variation from it. So that's kind of the basics there, but we are going to go over some examples of these. All right, here we are with ChatGPT. What we're going to do is paste that open prompt from the example, and we're going to see what this does. So it's going to say, okay, cool, I'll make a Python script for you. And what we're actually experiencing here with GPT-4 right now is it's actually describing that the prompt is so open that it doesn't actually want to just give you a random open output. But what I could do is I can just say, give me anything. I just want to see an example. Right? So we've told it to be random. So now it's going to pick this random use case. I think the optimization here is that with this model, it's defined what is too open, what doesn't make sense, what needs to be closed, right? So right here we have a Python script that reads a text file, counts the number of words in it, and describes the displays the word count. So pretty simple script. And it gives you some instructions on how to use the script and so on. But let's go and actually use our closed script and actually narrow down the output. All right, so this one will use the example from the previous discussion. And so what we're seeing here is it says, okay, you're going to need to install this pandas SQL Alchemy. And then here's a sample script using SQL Alchemy that would allow you to upload a CSV file to a SQL database. And then it also gives you some comments, some instructions, and it talks about how that connection would work. And then we could iterate on this from here on out. So pretty straightforward breakdown. What I do want to show you though is if we use the same closed prompt again, I want to provide an illustration of how the output will be more closed and less open for interpretation than the open prompt. So I'm actually going to slide over to another chat, and I'm going to show you the same prompt again, and we're going to compare the similarity. Okay, so we pasted the same prompt in again. It's going through, and it gave us the exact same first step, maybe with some variations of words I'd have to check. But then it's going through. It's describing everything. We have some variation in the comment. These comments do look a little bit different. But from there, it's saying, okay, here's the steps that you need to take to connect to your SQL database, and so on. So you see, this is the kind of output of a closed prompt. And if we wanted to close this even more, we could take a prompt like this, and we could say something like, and make sure you use Python pandas right? So we could close it even more. So we say like, hey, make sure you use pandas, make sure you use SQL Alchemy, which is part of pandas. I say, and make sure you optimize the script to be the shortest length possible, which will then limit our character count and bring down the output. We could also tell it something like, hey, go ahead and only give us a certain character length. Cool, and I just had to refresh real quick. Something went wrong. And so now it's going forward, and we close the prompt even more with more specific instructions. And so now we've got the most optimized version of the script. And so this is much shorter than what it was giving us before. We look over here, and so we got the most optimized version right here. And so awesome. So I hope that that describes the difference between a open and a closed prompt and how those two types of prompting styles will be different.